our second Galar starter, let's look at Rillaboom Vmax. Welcome back everyone to more from the Sable Eyes. I'm Mitch and today we're going to continue our look at the Galar starter VMAXs. Today we're looking at Rillaboom VMAX. Of the three, I think this is probably the one that doesn't do the most. It's still got a very powerful attack and it can definitely win some games, but if you're going to pick one of these three, don't pick this one. It's not a great advertisement for this video. I mean, you should still watch it, but yeah, probably of the three, I'd get this one last. Anyway, let's take a look at the list and see how it works for us. So, our list is built around Rillaboom VMAX. Also, yes, the picture's bigger. Like, I'm in a square now. Isn't that nice? Anyway, let's talk about Rillaboom VMAX. Rillaboom with max beating can potentially do 130 damage, which is a pretty solid amount to do. 4 energy is a lot, but we can discard up to 3 grass to potentially do 50 damage more for each grass energy that we discard. So that means that we can potentially be doing extra 150 damage. 230 plus 50 is what? 280? That seems like a pretty solid amount to be dealing. That can take a knockout on pretty much every tag team in the game, unless they've got something like a big charm on them. It's going to struggle with dealing with other VMAX Pokemon. 330, 340 HP is going to be tough, but ultimately you don't need to take one-shots on VMAXs. The one-shots on tag teams should be enough. We'll see how we go with it. We obviously need to get lots of energy into play, so we're going to be utilizing the basic or baby Rillaboom. Voltage Beat is a very powerful ability. To be able to accelerate 2 grass energy from the deck into the field of play is very, very strong. So we want to be able to get that going as frequently as possible. We've got ourselves a 4-2-3 line. It's a very awkward line for that, but it's because we have one copy of Rowlet and Alolan Exeggutor as well. Super Growth is an attack we can use for free to evolve our basic grass Pokemon on the bench into their fully evolved form. So as long as we've got a Grookey, and if we can use Super Growth as our attack, we should be able to get ourselves a Rillaboom in play as long as there's 1 or 2 Thwackey in the deck. We need to go through the Thwackey, we can't just go straight into the Rillaboom. So it is important that we make sure that that Thwackey is there as well. Now, Rowlet and Alolan Exeggutor is also a good Pokemon just to have generically in your deck as an attacker. Calming Hurricane for 150 is going to half hit pretty much everything in the format apart from some VMAXs, and will allow you to heal a little bit of damage as well. That can come up. And Tropical Hour GX is a very powerful GX attack. It's the only one that we've got in this deck that's worth talking about. So 200 damage for 3 grass energy is very doable, especially when we've got Rillaboom in play. But we can potentially put 6 energy onto this particular Pokemon to potentially do 200 and shuffle away all of our opponent's energy. So every single energy that they've got in the field, we can shuffle that away and potentially screw over our opponent that way, which is very, very good. 6 energy seems tough, but 1 or 2 Rillaboom and you'll be able to get it going pretty easily. We also have a solid generic attack in this deck in Shaymin Prism. Flower Storm for 2 grass, something that we can power up very easily, 30 times the amount of grass energy on the field. Well, basic energy technically, but we're only playing grass, so all of the grass energy on the field 30 times. So if you can get 5 or 6, you can start putting out some pretty serious damage, and towards the end of the game, this can be a late game knockout on something a little bit bigger. We're probably not going to get to 300 damage. The likelihood of having 10 energy on the field is pretty slim, but you know, you can give yourself that chance perhaps. The only other Pokemon that we've got in the deck is 2 copies of Dedenne. We want to use Dedenne Chains to draw some cards. Dedenne is pretty good. We don't have Jirachi or anything like that, so we need to make sure that if we do get ourselves in a pinch, we can always draw some cards with Dedenne. Going into the rest of the list, we've got a whole bunch of Pokemon Search. 4 Quick Ball will find all of the basics, including Dedenne, and 3 Netball will find all of our Grass basic Pokemon, as well as potentially being able to use it to search out a Grass Energy. This means we shouldn't have any problems finding basic Pokemon to get into the field. We really, really need that Grookey and that Rowlet as soon as we possibly can, so give ourselves the best chance to do that. And in order to search out Stage 1s, 2s, etc. VMAX Pokemon, we have 4 copies of Turffield Stadium. 4 is a very high count. I'll probably cut that back from testing this a little bit. It's probably too many, but we put it in there just to make sure that we could get everything that we needed, and it's great because it means that when you've got 1 or 2 Thwackey and Grookey in the field of play, you can get your Rillabooms out really easily. And Rillaboom VMAX is not too hard to find because Turffield Stadium can just search it out, so that's perfect for us. We're happy to do that. When it comes to Energy Recycle, we've got 1 copy of Energy Recycler. This card, it's going to be sad when it eventually rotates. Very, very strong in these types of decks, and shuffle basic energy back into the deck. And obviously Ordinary Rod can do that job as well, and we can get some Pokemon as well, which is also very, very strong. We have 3 Rare Candy. We're not always going to be able to get into Rowlet and Exeggutor, so we probably want to give ourselves the opportunity to manually Rare Candy into a Rillaboom. It means that that second Rillaboom is pretty easy to get into play. The first one you might use with Roweggs. The second one we can use Rare Candy, and that will give us multiple energy accelerations per turn, which is very, very good. We've got 1 copy of Reset Stamp in the list. Obviously, we want to make sure that if our opponent is taking knockouts, that they're going to get punished for it, so a little Reset Stamp is always good. We've got 2 copies of Switch to move in and out of our active, and 1 copy of Tool Scrapper to stop those annoying tools that we don't want in play from being there. Supporter-wise, it's a pretty simple line. We've got 4 Professor's Research and 3 Cynthia for draw. Obviously, the best 2 draw cards in the game, so we want to use those. There could be an argument to removing Cynthia and replacing it with Marnie, but we want to make sure that we're getting into the cards that we need, so giving ourselves that extra card doesn't seem like a huge amount, but it is important. We've got 2 copies of Mallow Lana in the list as well. I'm not sure how I feel about these. They probably don't need to be here, but definitely worth it, because Rillaboom VMAX has a lot of HP, and you've also got Roweggs doing a little bit of healing as well, so it's not the worst card, but I probably will change that the next time I build this deck. But we definitely want to include our 2 copies of Boss's Orders. This is our way that we're going to be able to knock out those Pokemon on the bench that our opponent doesn't want us to remove. We also have 11 Grass Energy. This could potentially be a little bit higher, and you might also want to look into something like Weakness Guard Energy as well if you're afraid of Fire decks. There are a few of them running around at the moment, so definitely worth considering, but we've gone with just the basic energy for the moment because it's probably the best thing to do considering Voltage Beak gets us those grasses. It's probably the best way for us to move forward with this list, although there's an argument that Weak Guard Energy could be used because Max Beating only needs 3 grass and 1 colourless. Same for Coming Hurricane for Roweggs. So you could potentially use the Weak Guard. That could come up. I know an earlier list that we had a Weak Guard in it as well, so you could definitely do that. As I said in the intro, it's probably not the strongest deck. It's definitely less powerful than the other 2 VMAXs, but it can definitely get going, and we'll show it off right now on the ladder. Gameplay time. Hopefully we get ourselves a good one, and hopefully my big face doesn't cover up anything important on the screen. We've lost the coin flip here, which is a bit of a pain, but we should be alright. I've organised it a little bit, so I should be okay. And it's such a bad start. The Dedenne is really, really awkward, but that's okay. We should be alright. We've got Netball, we've got Quick Ball, we've got Energy, we've got Turffield Stadium. We've got a lot of good resources here, and we're going second, so we'll be able to use Cynthia as well. I think we should be okay. It's just a matter of what we're up against. Looks like we've got a Roly-Coly on our opponent's side, so probably Colossal and Snorlax V. So we could be looking at maybe a kind of a Colossal toolbox deck with Snorlax VMAX and some other attackers. I wouldn't be surprised to see things like Ninetales here. Sandaconda V, there you go. Another card that very easily would have been in the list, and here it is. So that's real positive for us because it's 1 easy knockout for us if we get our VMAX set up. And we're seeing a Dedenne here as well from our opponent, so we'll be able to figure out if they've got any other cool attackers. The thing that I'm really worried about, though, is Ninetales. If there's a Ninetales on our opponent's side of the field, then this goes from being a very winnable game to a very tough one. So we'll have to wait and see. They're getting rid of a Fighting Energy there, so now they've got a Fire and a Fighting in the discard pile, which is pretty solid. And it just depends what they get. There is the Ninetales. Okay, so that's going to be a bit frustrating for us, especially since if they get their Colossal powered up, they're going to be able to easily take knockouts on our big GXs. Got another Quick Ball here, so that's pretty strong. I think what we want to do here is we want to make sure that we get into our Alolan Exeggutor Rowlet so that we can use Super Growth this turn. We want to get ourselves a solid attacker in the next couple of turns, and I think this is going to be the way to do it. We'll get rid of the VMAX because I know we've got another one here, so we'll grab ourselves a Grookey. We could play the Turffield down or Quick Ball to grab another Grookey. I think it's smarter to get the second Grookey. That way if we do... Oh, is it better to get like Shaymin or something? Nah, let's go with Grookey. I think if we got the second Grookey, it means if we get into Rare Candy Rillaboom, we're going to be okay next turn. And there we go, Rare Candy Rillaboom. So what we'll do is we'll retreat into this Roweggs. We might put down this Rillaboom V as well, so that the VMAX can possibly come through. I'll put down the Shaymin as well, because if this Ninetales knocks us out, then I want to have a free retreater. So we'll grab a Thwackey, so that we can evolve one of these Grookey into Rillaboom. There's the Rillaboom there. And we're going to be able to use the Rare Candy and Rillaboom in our hand to give ourselves 4 energy next turn. So we're in a good spot. We've got Research and Boss's Orders, so we've got potential. It just depends on how we're going to go about this one. There's an Eldegoss from our opponent. They've got a bench full of prizes for us to take. And Professor's Research is going to be played here. That dojo's a bit annoying. It's not the end of the world for us, though. We don't need to worry too much about it. Just will need to remember, if they fall behind all of their Pokemon, we'll be doing 40 more damage, so do need to remember that. Looks like we've got a bit of a decision for our opponent here. A Fighting Energy going down onto that Ninetales, and then a Research, so that seems pretty reasonable. I'll get rid of a Quick Ball and get themselves 7 new cards. They've got Rare Candy, which is big. They're going to Rare Candy... They're going to Rare Candy now into Colossal. Maybe they could have retreated there into an attacker that they wanted to use. We might have been saved by a little bit of eagerness from our opponent. There's the Tar Generator. We might potentially be able to survive because our opponent can't get this Colossal out of the active unless they have a switch. So if that happens, then we are good to go. And they are powering up that Ninetales on the bench. So it looks like maybe they'll just retreat this Colossal into something else, but yeah, we've been saved by the fact that they didn't retreat there. It's a big misplay. They could have easily taken a knockout on the Roweggs this turn, which is what I was really worried about, and now we're in a position where we can probably take a knockout on that Colossal if we want to. Just depends on what our best route of play is. I don't really want to play Cynthia or Research because I don't think that I'm going to be easily able to get a knockout on the Dedenne. There is a big part of me that just wants to knock out this Colossal, and obviously that means that Ninetales will be able to return us next turn, but to be honest, I'm not really that fussed. I'm going to put the extra energy on here to threaten, so now that Ninetales needs to come out to the active, and I will Calming Hurricane. The strength of this is we've removed their acceleration, so now they're not going to be able to accelerate as easily, and now they also have to attack with that Ninetales this turn, or otherwise they won't be able to get off the attacks they want. And that's good, because it means we line up our Rillaboom V to take a knockout on this Ninetales next turn, and hopefully they can miss Colossal. So it makes our prizing a little bit more awkward, but I think it's the best way to win this game. Okay, so looking at this, what have we got down here? They managed to find another Roly-Poly. They've got the attachment, so we were expecting that. Hopefully they don't have any draw. They've not used any here, which is positive. So now we're going to be in a position where we can at least attempt to get a knockout on their only powered Pokemon. And with only 3 cards in hand, although they will get some extras from the prizes, we should be okay to try and get that knockout. They used a Calming Hurricane here to do a bunch of damage. Seems like a lot. 380. Oh, they've got the dojo as well, so that's where the extra damage is coming from. I managed to grab another Research. So what we'll do is we'll power up this Rillaboom on the bench here. We'll power that one up completely now, so we don't maybe accidentally draw into a few energy that we don't want to have in our hand. And then we'll Research, because I want to give ourselves the best chance of finding the VMAX. And Turffield Stadium will do that. So we'll chuck that one down. We'll go for the VMAX here. So we've only got one, but that's okay. That's all we need. We'll play that one down, and now we're going to be able to max beating. We'll have to discard 2 energy, but we'll be a-okay to take that knockout and remove all of the stuff from our opponent's side of the field. And if we're lucky, we're very, very lucky our opponent won't be able to return fire. Obviously, if they have a Ninetales, then that's going to be the way that it is, but, you know, that's fine. We will max beating here and discard 2 energy for 230 damage and take 2 prizes. Now, oh, I've got Energy Recycler in hand. I probably could have played that because there were already 4 energy in the discard pile, but we should be okay. We've got now 6 in there, so we'll Energy Recycler next turn. It'll be fine. And now we've got our main attacker ready to go. And presuming, of course, that our opponent doesn't get a Colossal, we should be good to try and win this game. But it's going to be a little bit awkward. We see an attachment down there to Snorlax and a Marnie, so I'm going to be made to regret not playing that Energy Recycler, of course. I'll never have a mistake go unpunished. And this hand is not particularly strong. It's not good at all because we don't have any way to draw more cards. And I also don't think we have enough energy left. Now that I'm thinking about it, oh my goodness, and it looks like our opponent's about to get Colossal into play. I'm not happy about this. Not happy about this at all because I think I've made a massive error that's going to come back to bite us. I feel like maybe we don't have enough energy in play, and by me attaching to the Rillaboom on the bench, we could be in a bit of trouble. This is bad, but it's okay. It's okay. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. We're going to go with a tar generator here, but we still need to get this Dedenne out of the active, and if we are lucky enough to be able to find a supporter off of the top deck, we should be okay, but I'm not fully convinced. And we have 1 energy. Are there any other energies left? It doesn't look like it. Oh no, that 1 energy from the Rillaboom V is going to come back to bite us really hard here. Okay, so what are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? I think I'm just going to thin some cards out. I don't want to be drawing into things like Thwackeys off the top deck, so we'll get rid of those. I'm just going to play Voltage Beat one more time just to double check. It's not there. Okay. I'm going to attach to the Rillaboom in the active, I think. I think that's the only realistic thing that we can do. I'm going to attach there, and I'm just going to scratch. Now, the opponent doesn't have a way out of the active, so we could potentially have a few more turns, but I'm not super confident. This is kind of bad, but it's okay. It's going to be fine. We've got the potential to find that Energy Recycler. Our opponent is going to accelerate a lot of energy here, though. They can accelerate 1 to this Dedenne to switch, which will be annoying. Looks like they're going 1 to the Sandaconda, and then the Fighting to the Sandaconda as well, so maybe they already have a switch in hand, or maybe they're just... Yes, they already have the switch in hand. I was about to say, maybe they're just happy enough to give us the prizes, but no. And they're going with Sand Breath here. 220 damage. This is bad. So we're going to have to get incredibly lucky for this to work. I feel like we're in the... Ooh, Research. Okay, now we're in it. Here we go. Get rid of this hand. All we need to do is find that Recycler, and we are in this game. There's the Recycler. Beautiful. Fantastic stuff. So what we can do is we can use Energy Recycler. We can accelerate 4 energy onto the field now, which is going to be really good. We can do that, no problems. I've got the Boss's Orders in hand as well, so if I take a knockout this turn, I can gust something up next turn for game. So all I need to do is make sure that I've got enough energy in play to make that knockout. Now, I'm not going to be able to retreat with a switch here, but I think... What have I got? 1, 2, 3. I think if I actually attach 2 of these energies to the active Rillaboom, then I give myself the opportunity to take a knockout next turn with that Rillaboom VMAX. So I'll retreat here. I'll give myself 3 energy in the discard. There are 5 in play. That is going to be enough for a knockout on this Sandaconda due to weakness. And now all I need to do is... That's incredibly lucky. But I think we had 2 in deck anyway. All I needed to do was accelerate 1 or 2 of those to the Rillaboom V in order to take the knockout to win the game. So hopefully, we're going to be alright to win on that Dedenne on the bench. Obviously, this Snorlax will take a knockout on the Shaymin. They have no other cards here, so they're just relying on us missing, and that means that I think we're going to win, because we've got the Ordinary Rod now, so even if we didn't have it before, we've got it now. We can put some energy back into the deck, we can Boss's Orders, bring up that Dedenne, and take the knockout. We've managed to snag this one very much from the jaws of defeat. We probably shouldn't have, we should have lost based on that misplay, but it's okay. We'll put a couple of energy back into the deck, and then we can use Rillaboom with Voltage Beat to put those energy back, and I almost stuffed it up again. Unbelievable. I've got to learn how to count energy, man. It's okay. We've got the knockout. We've got the game. Unbelievable stuff. Poor from me. That's because of the big face. That's the real issue. I think that's probably the biggest problem here. So that's it for Rillaboom. We managed to get the win, only just, but that's okay. We got there in the end. If you like this video and you want to see more, we do all sorts of deck profiles on our channel. If you want to subscribe, I would recommend clicking this button just here to do that. Over here are some videos that you might like to see, as well as a playlist for all of our deck profiles and gameplay from Rebel Clash. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter at @theSableEyes_YT, and apart from that, we'll see you all next time for more from the Sableeyes. Bye.